I want to mention the research tie-ins that we have. I also want to mention that Acadia provides a service of being an institution that attracts international students and people like me. I came here in 1978 because I was visiting my friend who was going to this school somewhere east of Montreal called Acadia. Anyway, as you heard, 3 days later I was hooked and I wanted to be here. Acadia, just by being who it is, adds a liveliness to our streetscape and provides us with opportunities for synchronicity, like the Wolfville Farmers Market wouldn't be in such a beautiful building if Acadia wasn't so cooperative. Thank you.
This question is for Hugh, Gary, and Jeff. Wolfville has been a provincial and national leader in protecting community members, and especially kids, from secondhand tobacco smoke in indoor spaces and automobiles. Council has received a proposal from the Canadian Cancer Society and Smoke Free Kings that suggests broadening this protection by banning tobacco smoke in outdoor public places such as parks and recreation areas. What do you think about the use of bylaws such as this to help improve the health and safety of our community?
If you look at our policies in our transportation study, all of it is health related. We're trying to make our system more healthy. We want to develop more cycling, bike lanes, and so on. So this fits. I was there when we did the first smoke-free bylaw. We did the smoke-free cars. We have worked with the Canadian Cancer Society, have attended their sessions. I can't understand why we wouldn't move the next step. It seems to me a pretty focused way to do it. Why not? Why not ban smoking in our recreation areas like our parks? I can't see why that wouldn't be that should be a given. So I would support it.
The simple answer for me is yes. Anything we can do to protect the health of our children must be foremost. The cost of health and cost of this country is way out of control. And if we can do anything to help them, let's do it.
Back in 1992, when I was on council, it seems like a lifetime ago, I tried to bring a motion to the council table. Couldn't get a seconder to ban smoking in our recreation places. All I wanted was the baseball coaches, the Little League coaches of the day, not to smoke on the bench while they were coaching the game. It's hard to believe. Anyway, I am in favor of this 100%, and I would love to see further action on this. Healthcare costs one thing, lifestyle the other, and just I would feel some gratification in seeing that motion put to the table and finally finding a seconder.
Sorry, oops, writing notes. Okay, Keith, Carl, and David. What role should the town and council play to ensure that our citizens have access to a primary care physician or nurse practitioner?
That's a health care question, I believe, which we have very little to do with, unfortunately. I mean, we are fortunate, thanks to many hardworking volunteers and activists who have retained our health facility. We can continue, I guess, to ensure that the healthcare system knows how much we appreciate that and need to maintain that for our citizens. But in all reality, the decisions with respect to that rest with the province.
Well, I'm just going to basically say the same thing that Keith said. It rests with the province. I'm not going to try whether I can answer that question because I don't have the answer for that question. I think that's a provincial issue, and I don't have the answer for that. Thank you.
Ditto.
Okay, this original question is for Jeff Campbell, but I actually want to ask it to Wendy and Dan. And is there anybody else who's running for, who isn't already on council? Okay.
I'm in on council.
You're not? Okay. So anybody who's not on council right now, how often have you attended council meetings? And I'm rephrasing the original question. How often have you attended council meetings in the past, and have you been active in any way with town council in the past? And Jeff, why don't you start it, since it was originally to you?
Well, over 9 years, I attended, I believe, every council meeting, committees of council. In those days, we had every committee had its own meeting, so it was typically 3 nights a week between Park and Tree, and anyway, someone had the sense to bring a lot of those committee meetings under one umbrella. So yes, I've had 9 years of some 500 weeks of meetings with town.
Wendy?
I must admit I have rarely attended council. When I've attended council, it's because of an issue that has been close to my heart. Last fall, I believe, I presented to the Strategic Planning Committee of Council for an initiative that we have been working on in town called Imagine Wolfville, and subsequently presented again to committee. And last spring I attended quite a number of committee meetings with respect to the issue of extension of lounge hours, and was a speaker against the extension of those hours, and followed that quite consistently. I do, however, read the audio that you can find on the town website, and read the formal minutes. The other experience that I have had with the town was for a year or so, I was the resident representative on the Mayor's Committee for Community Living that dealt with student and town issues. Thank you.
I think I've been to a council meeting recently once. And part of that is because I've been to the website, I've tried to understand the workings. Council isn't easily accessible to an outsider, and one of the things I'd like to change if I'm elected is I'll be an insider, and I need to talk to Jeremy with the Grapevine, but a synopsis of what it's working on a weekly or monthly basis I think would be very helpful to make the information accessible to people outside of the council and its workings. That said, I have been to several WBDC meetings, which is the Wolfville Business Development Corporation. I know a lot of the business owners downtown, and speak with the RCMP around. So I am quite involved in the community and seeing what's happening in the community, but the town council isn't always the easiest way to find out exactly what's happening, although that is where the decisions are made. Thank you.
Well, about 6 years ago, I started taking an interest in town council. That was when the new municipal planning strategy was being rewritten, and there was a lot of community interest. That at one point would have filled this auditorium completely, and when it faded away, I think I was the only person left standing. I continue to go sporadically. I actually find it really way more interesting than just, I would bring my knitting and just sit in the back and write notes and keep updated. Since I declared my candidacy in early September, I've attended every single meeting. Just FYI, the Committee of Council meetings are the more interesting ones. That's where things get discussed. The regular council meeting people just... I just want to say that there is a council brief right now that's really a quick little synopsis on the website, and also Wolfville has a Twitter feed. These are both really easy ways to keep in touch with what's happening on council. Thank you.
last question that we have from the audience members touches on Acadia students again, and we've had some conversation, but this one is asked in a particular way that I think students would like to hear the answer to, and a lot of students here are politics majors, so we'd like to hear you weasel your way out of this one. And I'm going to ask it to the people who didn't just answer the last question, so Keith, Carl, David, Hugh, and Gary. What are your thoughts, and how do you plan to deal with the student problem?
I would say that the student problem is that perhaps we don't understand students. There are a lot of very good students in this town, and I think to categorize it as a student problem is an unfortunate generalization. We have some, and I like Wendy's husband's comment, boisterous students that are still learning how to make mistakes. And I think that we as a community need to help guide them in terms of setting what is acceptable behavior and support them in making